We're so happy to be able to tell you about an exciting book, a book that offers a perspective that you may not have ever encountered, a perspective of the Iraq War seen through the eyes of two people who lived it, not as soldiers, but as natives of that country, and how their lives were changed the minute U.S. forces came on to their homeland. And it is just an incredibly written book. I know you're going to enjoy it. It is called The Brothers of Baghdad. We'll have more information about it in just a moment. The author of it is Tara Najim. Tara is by trade an Arabic instructor and tutor, but I tell you, you're on your way to just doing writing full-time after this. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you so much.
How long did it take you?
Well, it took about a year's worth of interviews, a year's worth of writing, and a year's worth of editing, so no time at all.
No, probably non-stop too. It's just wonderfully done. I want to kind of set it up. The Brothers of Baghdad is obviously about two brothers, Muhammad and Kadhim. Close. I might need your tutoring skills. But tell me how you came into contact with these two men, and how after that introduction you thought, you know what, would probably make a good story.
Well, I was actually working on my Arabic master's degree at the time, and I've long had an interest in Iraqi refugees and the issues that they face, and so I was working with a refugee resettlement agency in Columbus, Ohio, and interviewing many Iraqi refugees who were being resettled in Columbus at the time. I met one young man who had a medical degree from Iraq, and he did part of the normal interview process with him that I was doing with everybody else. And his stories just blew me away. As soon as I started hearing his stories, I said, wow, these had to be written down. And he said to me, you know what, if you like my stories, you need to meet my brother as well. And between the two of them, they had such incredible stories that I said, you know what, that's it. Like, I need to start focusing. After I finished writing my master's thesis and graduated, I realized that I need to start focusing on their stories and get them written down, because they're powerful stories and there's so much that we can learn from them.
And so they told you about their childhoods in Iraq and how it was to live under Saddam Hussein and be forced to become members of his party. Was it a miserable existence that these two brothers described?
Well, that's a good question. I think a bit of yes and a bit of no. You know, as a child, you can find any way of making your life fun, but they did live through, more than one war. I mean, they lived through the 1991, the first Iraq War, basically. And I think for me, I was fascinated by what life was like under a dictatorship. I mean, that's something that I've never lived through, and I pray we never have to.
Right.
But the way that the political regime was able to influence even their personal lives. I mean, they had a picture of Saddam Hussein just hanging in their living room, not because they loved him, but because they were afraid that what if somebody comes in who's secretly working with the government and reports on us that maybe we're not Saddam lovers. You know, they had to teach when their children were young, and I'm talking now about the brother's parents. His parents taught him, like, they always called Saddam Baba Saddam, tried to give him a nice, like he's a father figure name, because they were afraid, what if my 5-year-old says something or reports something that we've been saying in private here in the home, and somebody overhears and reports us to the government, they could have been killed.
So you go from that kind of existence, and I'll get you here in the middle of our interview to just scoot the left side. There you go. The hair was interfering with the microphone, and I don't want your story interrupted at all. But let me just ask you this. You've got this upbringing that you're describing, this family life where there's this underlying pressure to do what's right and to toe the government line. And so enter U.S. forces in the early 2000s. I think 2003 is when the book really picks up in earnest. Did these brothers welcome the arrival of the Americans and think, oh, great, life is going to change? Because it did, but it didn't necessarily make it great. Tell me about that and how they reacted to the arrival of us.
Right. I think to a certain extent it was a bit surreal if you're used to living to a certain government, as much as you might hate it.
Right.
It's a little bit surreal to lose that. But they did welcome the U.S. forces at the time. They were actually Shiite Muslims, and Shiites under Iraq, under Saddam's regime, although the regime was considered a secular regime, the Sunnis were always given favoritism. And so the Shiites, despite the fact that they are actually the majority in Iraq, they kind of got the worst jobs. It was harder. There was kind of a glass ceiling that they couldn't break. So Saddam's regime didn't do them any favors, and so Shiites were among the first people to welcome the Americans when they first came into Iraq.
So one of the brothers during this time is a doctor. One is an interpreter. Tell me how their lives changed and the great danger that they faced. You picture a doctor practicing medicine in a hospital, healing people. It was so much more than that. If you just want to start with Kadham's story, his life was insane.
Sure. In 2003, actually, Kadham was a medical student. So he was still going through medical school, and he volunteered at the largest hospital in Baghdad and watched the fall of the regime from that hospital, and ended up getting trapped in the hospital for 2 weeks because everybody else was fleeing the hospital. I mean, they feared for their lives. So it was him and just a handful of medical personnel trying to triage hundreds of incoming trauma patients. Their ER basically had to double in its capacity. They ran out of beds, they ran out of anesthesia, they ran out of food, and in the midst of it all, the looters came and started stealing things from the ER right in front of him. And that's right at the outbreak of the war.
Is he still practicing medicine?
He is.
That didn't deter him or make him hate the job when he saw that ugly side of it? I guess as long as you work in a hospital that it's not going to be, under a government that's overthrown, you'll be fine. But yeah, the stories you tell of the looting, people in there stealing beds, not just drugs and medical supplies, stealing everything from the hospital,
Right.
are terrifying. Meanwhile, his brother, the interpreter, Muhammad, someone who was extremely important to us, on the ground there in Iraq. What was his life like? Did he just live in constant danger out on the streets?
He really did. So Muhammad's he's a great guy. He's such a mixed personality, because on the one hand, he's extremely loyal to his family and loyal to the units that he worked with. He loved the combat missions. He was always volunteering to risk his life and go out with the American missions. But on the other hand, he also has a bit of a Don Juan attitude. He had a really hard time staying faithful to his many girlfriends. So he had girls who wanted to kill him. He had terrorists who wanted to kill him. There were always a bunch of people out to get him. But let me give you an idea of just how dangerous it was to be an interpreter with the U.S. forces. And Muhammad actually was one of the very first to become a local interpreter with the U.S. forces. So many interpreters lived on the military base while they were working with the Americans. And if they wanted to leave the base, these are some of the steps that they might have taken. You want to start out by taking mud and covering the license plate on your car, so that when you leave the base, nobody can read your license plate number.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Take a few days, grow out your beard, wear a hat and sunglasses. When you leave the base, drive as fast as you possibly can. And I mean, if you can hit 100, 120 miles per hour, that's great, because there were actually terrorists who would wait around the edges of the base, trying to catch anybody who they suspected was working with the Americans so that they could kill them.
Wow, that's terrifying. Do these brothers, tell me, just bring me up to speed, they're both U.S. citizens now, right? Both of them. And where do they live now?
That's actually, that's not information that I'm at liberty to share.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, and bad question on my part, but I bet that if you're in a room, my point was that if you go to wherever these guys live and you can get them in a room, I bet you they can just talk all night and mesmerize the people in that room with these stories that you've chronicled here in your book, The Brothers of Baghdad. Is that true? Are they like that in real life?
Absolutely.
The interpreter role, by the way, would you agree, one misstep, one mistranslated word can make the difference between life and death? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible job that they have.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And that actually, one of the stories in the book came about because it was an instance really early on in the war when it was kind of like a march. There was a protest march against the American presence in Iraq. And they don't know how many people marched. It was called 1,000 March by the Iraqis, but who knows how many hundreds, or even if there were 1,000 people there. But they came right to the gates of the military base. And the Department of Defense interpreter was too afraid to go out and interpret and find out what what they wanted, what was going on with this protest that was standing right outside the gates. And here within the gates, the Americans had everything was lined up, the artillery was lined up against this march, just waiting. Are they here to attack us? What's going on? Because they have RPGs and they have guns. Is this going to end up being just a battle that we have right here? And so who do they call but Muhammad? Muhammad, our DID, won't go out and interpret. Will you go outside and talk to these guys and find out what's going on?
Oh my goodness.
And he ended up going over the fence, through the gate by himself in front of like 1,000 people to find out, okay, why are you guys here? Is this a peaceful demonstration, or is this going to end up become something else? And after insulting him many times, and,
sure, I bet.
Just what are you doing working with the Americans?
Why are you with them?
Exactly. He was able to negotiate a peaceful. How do I say, when you get everybody set their weapons
like a resolution
down?
To it,
Exactly. Because he said, you know what? If you guys even fire one bullet, the Americans are going to take that as a sign that you guys are here to fight them, and they're going to fire back. And what is one bullet going to do against a tank?
Well, you talk about what he must have felt in that moment, and I'm telling you, the way that Tara describes it here on this broadcast, you have to read it. Your words jump off the pages. I only have about a minute left. I have two quick questions for you. First of all, how did you get to be such a great writer? This really is an incredible book. It does just sear your brain. How'd you get so good at it?
I've actually always loved writing.
Yeah.
It's always been a passion of mine.
Well, that lifelong passion is paying off big time in the Brothers of Baghdad. My final question is, have any of your friends, any of the refugees back in Ohio that you referenced, had a chance to read it? What do they think of it, if so? Or have you gotten any feedback from them yet?
From Iraqis, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
The brothers have read some of it.
They like it?
They do, actually.
Yeah. They go, I didn't say that.
No, I got to use a lot of their direct quotes, fortunately. I really tried to stay very true to everything they told me, because I really did want just the Iraqi perspective.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, but yeah.
I'm sure it'll continue to get rave reviews, and I wish you all the best with it. It's just wonderfully done.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Get the book, The Brothers of Baghdad. You can go to Amazon.com and order it right now. I promise you're going to love it. It is really well done. Tara Najim is the author, and we are fortunate to have her in our community. Go check it out right now. You have it done by dinner time. You cannot put it down. Start now. This broadcast ends at 12:30, and you'll be done by 6, I promise.